Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, a fierce critic of President Putin and an anti-corruption campaigner, died mysteriously on the 16th of February, 2024. The whole world is still talking about his death. It is being discussed how brutally President Putin killed Navalny. But the discussion should not only be about the mystery of Navalny's death, but also about the prison where Navalny was kept. Today, the whole world talks about human rights. For that, there is an agency in the United Nations. There are many official and unofficial organizations working for human rights. Even in such times, Russia still has some terrible prisons. They are not prisons, but hells on earth. One of such prisons is Polar Wolf. Notorious criminals are there, and Putin's opponents are also thrown there. We have heard about many terrible prisons in different parts of the world, right? This terrible prison, Polar Wolf, does not have to be subjected to severe torture or other punishments. Going to that prison is a notorious punishment. So what is there in that prison that makes it seem so terrible? Why are there so many other prisons like this one in Russia? Let's take a look at some information here. The tortured dead body of Alexei Navalny was handed over to his mother after a week of his death, and his death report saying it was a natural death. The death of Alexei Navalny is exposing the Russian president's cruelty to the outside world. The world is talking about Navalny's case as an example of what punishment will be meted out to those who raise their voices against Putin. Among many things, the prison where Navalny was held has attracted everyone's attention. Its name is Polar Wolf. Polar Wolf is 1,900 kilometers from Moscow. It is a prison built during the Soviet era. The location of this prison is not known. It is a very remote area. This prison is located in the Arctic region. There is no air connection there for most of the year. Trains do not run there much. Getting there by vehicle is a huge adventure. Let alone vehicles going there, it is doubtful that even letters written by relatives of prisoners will reach that prison. That prison is so remote. Many people are shocked to see the rules in that prison. The area where the prison is located is very close to the Arctic Circle. It is as cold as -30 degrees Celsius. There is also very little light. Sunlight is a rare guest here. In such an environment, the prisoners have to follow strange rules. They have to stand outside for 30 to 40 minutes in that biting cold. Those who stand like that are not allowed to rub their hands together to escape the cold or warm their bodies. They are not allowed to clap their hands. They are not allowed to shake from where they are standing or move any part of their body. No matter how cold it is there, they should not move from where they are standing. If any prisoner violates that rule, water cannons will come there and spray water on the entire group of prisoners for the mistake they have made. The prisoners in that prison are not given proper clothing. They are given very little clothes there. It is not even possible to wear them properly at night in the freezing cold. It is truly hellish torture. In this prison, the prisoners are given very little food. There is no air in the cells there. They are kept in cells so small that they are not even allowed to move their arms and legs. Therefore, even physically fit people become weak when they come to this prison, because unlike other prisons, the prisoners are not allowed to move around freely. They are not allowed to exercise. They are not allowed to talk to each other. The Polar Wolf was built specifically to house the most terrible prisoners in Russia who have committed the most heinous crimes. There are serial killers and robbers here. People who have been sentenced to more than 15 years are brought here. Escaping from such a prison is a distant dream. If you do anything and get caught, the punishment there is doubled. Even if you don't get caught, the prisoner who tries to escape from that cold will have to die. This is such a terrible prison. This prison has also housed many criminals, including notorious serial killers Alexander Greba and Dmitry Orenko. Among these prisoners, one who was considered terrible was Alexander Alistrato. He was a taxi driver who killed 6 people who had taken him in his taxi in order to rob passengers. In 2005, he was sentenced to life imprisonment for these acts, so he was sent to this Polar Wolf prison. Alexei Navalny was brought to such a terrible prison, where Navalny was injected with some other drug, which he said was a painkiller, and when Navalny lost consciousness, he did not even receive proper treatment. Many such things have been documented by Navalny's PROs based on his statements. There is no shortage of such prisons in Russia, especially since many Russian prisons are listed as the most terrible prisons in the world, including Polar Wolf. If we look at other terrible prisons in Russia, the first thing that comes to our mind is the NKVD prison, also known as the Black Dolphin prison. It is located on the opposite side of the polar wolf. This prison is located on the border of Russia and Kazakhstan. It is said that there are very few examples of prisoners coming out of here alive. When prisoners are brought here, they are blindfolded and are not allowed to walk straight. By doing this, the prisoners are brought here in such a way that they do not even know which prison they have come to. Most of the prisoners who come here are sentenced to life imprisonment. Drug traffickers, human traffickers, sex offenders, and those who have committed heinous crimes such as terrorism are brought to this Black Dolphin. This Black Dolphin is considered one of the oldest prisons in Russia. Currently, there are 750 prisoners here. The prisoners are under CCTV surveillance 24 hours a day. The prisoners have to respond to the security staff who come to patrol here every 15 minutes. But it is said that the prisoners are given some books to read and a radio to listen to. Another terrible prison in Russia is Paytak Island Prison. This prison is located on an island called Ogneny Ostrov in Lake Novozero, Russia. In 1917, the building of the religious center here was converted into a prison. During the time of Joseph Stalin, this prison was used to imprison those who rebelled against the government. Later, since 1953, this prison has been used to keep other dangerous prisoners. What is special about it is that when winter comes, all the water sources here also turn into ice. In addition, the weather here is very cold. However, the prisoners are not given any special warm clothes, so it is very difficult for them to endure the cold. These are not the only 3 prisons. There are dozens of such prisons in Russia, especially in the prisons in Siberia, where it is not known what goes on. No human rights activists are allowed to enter. Even UN teams are not allowed to visit them. That is why Russia does not allow them. There are allegations that there are no human rights here. The world is once again learning about this through the death of Navalny. The Western media is reporting that Putin has already finished off many political opponents in this way. It takes many days to find out which prison the missing political figures are in Russia. By the time it is known, many people have died there. This is evidence of the authoritarian regime in Russia, according to the accusations of the Western media. It is not that such prisons are only in Russia. There are also many such prisons in North Korea and China. Guys, this is some information related to the most terrible prisons in Russia. Let's meet again with more specials in the next episode. Subscribe my channel, thank you.